Alright, this will be a fairly brief tutorial on how to deal with video in After Effects. And as you get through this, you'll realize that it's not much different than bringing in still images, JPEGs, Photoshop files, etc. So let's get going. I've got nothing in my project bin, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in a video clip. So File, Import File, and here I have a single clip. If you take a look at the top left corner of the project window, you'll see that there is a video thumbnail that shows you just a still image of the video, and below that a green waveform, and that tells me that there is audio included in this clip. To the right of that you'll see the exact specifications of the video, the width and the height, as well as the duration in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames, as well as the frame rate, and also the video compressor that's used and the audio quality. Don't worry about all of this information, but what is important is the size of the video and the length of the video. So if I go ahead and create a new composition and use the default HD preset and hit OK, and let me just size that to 100, and take my video clip and drag it over and let go, you'll notice that the video clip, if I zoom out, is much bigger than my composition. In fact, I can pick up the video clip and move it all around. And if I hit the space bar on the keyboard, or the play button in the preview tab, it'll play the video. And I can pick it up and remove it around, etc. So the first thing to notice is that the preset that I've asked you to use up to this point is 1280 by 720, also known as 720p. This video clip is a 1080p clip, so it's significantly larger. Doesn't mean it's a higher quality, it just means there's more information there. So I have a choice. I can either create a composition that matches the size and width, the height and the width of this video clip, or I can take my video clip and scale it to fit within the composition that I'm playing with. So for instance, I could go down to my video clip, open up the transform properties, open up transform, and then reduce the scale to about 70%. I think it's about 69%. Then if I hit Command Home, it'll center that clip perfectly. And now I have the entire length of the video clip. The other issue is the length. The length of this video clip is 54 seconds and 7 frames. The length of my composition is just a random number, 2207. So I'm actually 30 seconds short. And if I go to the end of my timeline here, there's still an additional 30 seconds that continues past that point. I want my composition to be this length, and I will edit the clip to fit within that frame, or I want to create a composition that exactly matches the length of the video clip. So there is another way to create a composition from scratch with all of this in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the composition that's already there, and instead of going to composition, new composition, what I'm going to do is take the video clip and drag it down to the bottom of the project window on top of this little film strip icon. And when I let go, After Effects creates a new composition based on the properties of the video clip. So the video clip fits perfectly inside and matches the entire length of the clip. If I go to my compositions tab now, you'll see that the width and the height matches the video clip, and that the duration, 5407, matches that as well. So let's move on. You'll notice down on the timeline that there's an eyeball and a speaker icon. If you turn the eyeball icon on and off, it mutes or hides the video. If you do that with the little speaker icon, it will mute the audio, so you will no longer hear the sound. So clicking that turns the sound off. So as I just briefly showed you, video has the exact same transform properties as a still image or a text layer. It has position, scale, rotation, and opacity. So I can manipulate the position, the scale, the rotation, and the opacity. And if I leave it here and hit the spacebar, the video will continue to play. So what if I don't want all of that video in here? This is a 54-second video, and if I quickly scrub through this, I'll just visually explain what's going on here. It's just a group of students singing, and the video clip starts off with a close-up of the main or lead singer, and if I progress through the video, you can see that the camera person zooms out to get me a wider shot showing me that there are more people in the group. and then the camera pans left and right. And you'll notice that when I scrub the video very quickly, forwards and backwards, After Effects reduces the quality of the video. It's doing so in order to maintain a decent playback rate. And as soon as I let go of the mouse, it increases the quality significantly. Let's say I want a wide shot of this group. I don't need the close-up, I want the widest shot, but I also don't want, there's an area where the camera's just, for instance, there's too much headroom here, there's too much black space up here. So I definitely want the shot to begin somewhere around here. In other words, I want to remove all of this, which is about 21 seconds of information. I want to get rid of it. And there are multiple ways to do this in After Effects, and some of the techniques are very similar to how you would do it in other video editing software. What I'm going to do is show you all the techniques and then allow you to determine which one you would prefer. The first one is to simply double-click the clip in the timeline, and that will bring you into a new layer window. So don't confuse the layer window with the composition window. They look similar, but they are very different. In the layer window, you are confronted with a new timeline ruler, which looks a lot like the one down here. But this one allows you to set beginning and end points, also known as in and out points. So here I can take this and scrub through, and you'll notice it has an identical effect down here. So if I move it forward, it will also move it forward down here, and vice versa. So I know I want to start the clip right around here. And to tell After Effects to ignore everything before this point, all I have to do is click this button right here. See, set in point to current time. And when I click this, After Effects now ignores all of the preceding video clip and then automatically moves the clip to the beginning, or 0. You can retrieve that information simply by moving backwards to a previous point and resetting the end point. So just clicking the button again. And that will retrieve that missing information and then move the clip forward in time in order to begin the clip at the new point. And then to set an out point, you simply move forward to where you want the clip to end. In this case, I'll have it end before it pans back over to the right, so right around there. And now I click this button right here, the set out point. And if you look down here, you'll see a significant end of this video clip is simply removed. There we go. So this is the in, this is the out. Everything afterwards and everything before is ignored. I can now go ahead and close the layer window. And that takes me back to the composition window. You'll notice that the video clip is now represented as a solid light blue or light gray color, and you'll see this ghosted area as well. And that ghosted area represents the missing information that I deleted. So this is my out point. But because video in computer terminology is non-destructive, I can always go back and bring back the footage I told it to forget. I can do that again by double-clicking, setting a new out point, but if I don't feel like doing that, I can do it directly in the timeline. All I have to do is move my mouse cursor to the edge of the video clip, of the out point, and then just click and drag, and it will bring it back. And I can do that all the way to the ultimate end point of that video clip. I can't go past that point because there is no more information. And you may ask, well, I'm only at 30 odd seconds and that clip is 54. How come I can't go any further? Well, this is the actual 54th second of the video. The reason it stops there is because my in point was 20 odd seconds in. And I can just simply click and drag the solid gray-blue bar to retrieve all that original information again. So I can go to the left edge and drag and retrieve the entire video clip. So to edit, you can either double-click, set your in, set your out, or directly in the composition, simply go to an edge and click and drag, click and drag. There is no wrong or right here. You can do whichever you feel like. It doesn't make a difference. Then you can pick up the video clip and simply move it forwards or backwards, depending on where you need it in the timeline. In this instance, I want it to begin at the beginning, so I'll simply hit the home key, select the clip, and hit the left bracket key next to the P, and that snaps the clip back to wherever this red line is. Now, if you hit the spacebar, you will not hear any sound. In addition, the video clip may not play back at normal speed. If you look up here, it's saying it's playing back at 15, 14 frames a second. That's about half what I want it to be. In order to get sound and full motion video, you have to use the 0 key on the numeric keypad. So that's the big 0. And then when you click that, you need to wait for this entire area to turn green. So I'm going to do that. And you'll notice that this green is getting progressively bigger. And during this time, I should just ignore what's going on and wait for it to finish. As soon as it gets to this point, After Effects will stop processing, rewind back to the beginning, and play the video smoothly and with sound. And you'll see playing back at 29.97. And I can hit the spacebar to stop. So this is very important to understand. Just like playing audio, if you hit the spacebar, you won't hear sound. If you hit the big 0, you will get full motion video and sound. And just like audio, if you just hit the period key, it will play the timeline, but it will only play the audio associated with the video. If I open up my audio properties, open up waveform, you will see there is the existing audio, and I can treat it exactly how I used the audio from last week's audio exercise. So in addition to position, scale, rotation, and opacity, and setting your in and out points, you can also apply every effect available to you. For instance, if I add a blur effect, take fast blur for instance, the video can go out of focus. And maybe if I add a black and white effect, so now I've processed the video to be out of focus and black and white. Again, if I hit the spacebar, my quality will not play back very smoothly. If I hit the 0 and wait for it to process, and the more complicated your effects and the longer the video clip is, the longer this processing is going to take. And once it gets done, it will play back at full quality, full resolution with sound. There we go. And it's important to understand that as soon as I make a change up here, let's say I change the blur amount, or maybe change it to just vertical, it will have to reprocess all of that information. I have to hit 0 again. And this might get a little frustrating for you as you're experimenting and playing with video in After Effects. It's a very time-consuming process, and it just takes a while to get used to the way After Effects treats video. So to make things easier for you, what I highly recommend you do is that once you start working with video in After Effects, that you reduce the quality. And by default, it's usually set to full or auto. Now, I would highly recommend that you work in at least half, and maybe even consider dropping to third or even quarter. And what this does is it reduces the preview quality, so that when you're playing back video, it doesn't quite look as good as the final output. So each time you go one step down, it reduces the quality just a little bit. Now, I found over the course of working with After Effects that I don't mind working at a lower quality. And what is important to understand is that when you're ready to export a movie and save this out so that you can upload it to YouTube or whatever you want to do, it will always by default export it at the full quality. So it doesn't matter what this says. Your output will always be best quality, which is the same as full. So just get used to working in multiple quality resolutions, especially when dealing with video. You can do additional things like add a mask using the pen tool. Let me just turn off the effect. So for instance, I can cut this lead singer out of the video, and there you can see she's completely cut out. And in my timeline I have the mask properties where I can feather that area, and now if I hit the spacebar, you can see that she's cut out of the environment. The feathering adds a little bit of extra area around there, so if I reduce that and maybe play around with some of these settings, I could really isolate her from the background. In addition to the pen tool, you can also use, let me delete this mask, you can also use the shape tools. So for instance, I could draw a big rectangle around her, and that is exactly the same as using the pen tool, but now it's a geometric shape. If I click and hold that down, I can use the ellipse tool to draw a circle, feather it out a little bit, And now she's completely separated. Where is this useful? Well, for instance, if I duplicated this, so I had 2 copies of the layer, and again, to duplicate anything in After Effects, you select a layer, edit, duplicate. Take the bottom layer down here and remove this mask that I created. Then on this bottom one, add black and white. And now using the ellipse mask, the circular mask that I have up here, I'm able to isolate the singer and make everyone behind her black and white. It's not quite perfect. You can see a little bit of color bleeding into the background layer there, but overall it does a pretty good job. And the next tutorial is going to show you how to edit video in Adobe Premiere and then bring that edited sequence directly into After Effects. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email, text, or call me.